Once upon a time, there was an elderly woman named Martha who lived in a small, peaceful village surrounded by rolling hills and blooming fields. She was known throughout the village for her kindness, wisdom, and the gentle smile that never left her face. People admired how she always seemed happy, even when life wasn't easy. The villagers often sought her out, bringing their worries and troubles to her humble cottage. Martha welcomed everyone with open arms and listened carefully, offering advice that came from a deep well of experience and compassion. One day, a curious young man named Daniel approached her. He had heard so many stories about Martha's unwavering happiness that he wanted to understand her secret. "Martha," he asked earnestly, "why are you always so happy? No matter what happens, you never seem sad or angry. Don't you ever feel hurt when bad things come your way?" Martha's eyes twinkled as she invited him to sit beside her on a wooden bench under a big oak tree. "My dear Daniel," she said softly, "life is a journey full of ups and downs. There will be days when the sun shines brightly, and days when the clouds cover the sky. But happiness isn't about what happens outside. It's about what happens inside your heart." Daniel frowned, trying to grasp her meaning. "But how can you be happy when bad things happen? Doesn't sadness come naturally?" Martha nodded gently and began to share a story from her own life, one filled with love, loss, and resilience. "When I was a young woman, I had a family, a loving husband, and 3 beautiful children. We didn't have much money, but our home was always full of laughter and love. Then one year, my husband fell gravely ill. We didn't have enough money to afford the medicine he needed. We tried everything we could, but sadly he passed away." Her voice trembled, but she continued, "That day felt like the end of my world. I cried for days, thinking I would never find happiness again. But slowly I realized that grief, as heavy as it is, cannot live forever. My children needed me to be strong, and I needed to find a way to live fully for them and myself." Daniel listened intently, moved by the depth of her experience. "So how did you find happiness again?" he asked. Martha smiled warmly. "I began to see life through a new lens. I understood that pain and joy coexist, that the hardest storms eventually pass, and that I had the power to choose where to place my focus. Every morning I tell myself, today is a fresh start. I will find something beautiful in this day. Sometimes it's as simple as the sun shining through the window, or the laughter of a child playing outside." She leaned closer and said, "Even on the darkest days, there is a spark of light if you look for it. Happiness is a choice, Daniel. Not a condition waiting to happen, but a decision we make every single day." Daniel was thoughtful for a moment, then asked, "But what if something terrible happens again? How do you keep going?" Martha's eyes reflected a lifetime of wisdom. "When bad things happen, and they will, I remind myself that this too shall pass. It's a phrase that helped me through many hard nights. Holding on to hope and gratitude keeps my spirit alive. I focus on what I still have, a healthy heart, kind friends, a place to call home. I find joy in small moments, a blooming flower, a gentle breeze, a kind word." She added, "Happiness isn't about having a perfect life. It's about embracing life's imperfections with grace and courage." Inspired by Martha's story, Daniel decided to apply her advice to his own life. At first, it was not easy. Old habits of worry and frustration crept in, but he practiced every day. He started noticing the little things, the warmth of the morning sun, the chirping of birds, the smile of a stranger. Slowly, his perspective shifted. Even when faced with challenges, he found himself smiling more often. Word of Martha's wisdom spread throughout the village, touching many hearts. People began to understand that happiness is not tied to possessions or circumstances, but springs from within. They learned to face hardships with resilience and to cherish the simple joys of life. Over time, the village transformed. Neighbors helped each other more, laughter became more frequent, and kindness was the norm. Martha's message created a ripple effect of hope and strength. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with hues of pink and gold, Daniel returned to Martha's cottage. He sat beside her under the oak tree and said, "Thank you, Martha. Your words have changed my life. I understand now that happiness is a journey, not a destination." Martha smiled, her eyes shining with pride and love. "Remember, Daniel, life will always have challenges, but the light you carry inside will guide you through. Choose happiness every day, and you will find that joy can grow even in the toughest soil." Moral of the story: happiness is not something we find outside ourselves. It is a choice we make every day, regardless of our circumstances. Life will always bring hardships and sorrow, but by focusing on gratitude, hope, and the small joys around us, we can cultivate a resilient spirit that shines through any storm. True happiness comes from within, and it is our attitude toward life's challenges that defines our peace and contentment.